Oh. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayesha bhatreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhattir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all the disturbance unto the heart is almost completely destroyed. A loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatagine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So today we are going to start our 28th. We are right to 28 video conference in English language about Krishna Katha. And we will start reading the verse 1:3:29. However, I have been thinking the last week that every week I should tell a story. One of the stories referring to the incarnations we have been studied. We cannot tell them all every time, but of course, we are not going to leave any incarnation behind and not tell them during the weeks and months, hopefully years of Krishna Katha. In English, we are going to tell everybody's story. But I was thinking at least one we should tell. And I thought that today we should tell the story of Parasurama. We have, of course, as always I say, it's a long story. But I'm going to resume the story, summarize the story, just to the main event of his life. Okay, so let's see, we can cover this in a few minutes, but please listen because it's a very beautiful story. So first of all, when Parasurama appeared, the Mahabharata, Parva Sangraha Parva, Adhyaya 2, verse number 3, it says that at the end of Treta and the beginning of Dwapara Yuga, the greatest of all that ever wielded arms, Parasurama, being impatient of wrongs, repeatedly destroyed all the Shakya races of the world. So I'm sure that all of you hearing that he appeared at the end of Treta Yuga and at the beginning of Dwapara Yuga, maybe you should be a little startled because Treta Yuga means a third and Dwapara Yuga means a second. So how it is possible that he appeared at the end of Treta Yuga and at the beginning of Dwapara Yuga? Because the Mahayuga goes like Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Kali Yuga. But this Mahayuga, Dwapara and Treta overlapped. And Treta Yuga, which is the third era, happened in the second time, the second position, and Dwapara Yuga appeared the third. So it is acceptable to say that Parasurama appear at the end of Treta Yuga and at the beginning of the Dwapara Yuga. There was one dynasty called Ehaya dynasty, who at the time was a very powerful kingly race. Just a second, please. Excuse me. Parasurama was a descendant of Brigu race. That's why it is called the Bhargava race. And the Bhargava, for generations, were the family preceptors of the Ehaya kings. Taking advantage of their supreme position in the royal palace, the Bhargava accumulated great wealth at the cost of the royal riches. Gradually, the Bhargava rose in prosperity and in inverse proportion to the decline of the Ehaya wealth. So it is very clear that although at the Vedic time, the monarchy was a system observed, the monarch or the king were not free to do anything they wanted. They had to respect the Brahmanas. And why it is also important to respect the Brahmanas? Because they tell you what to do. They will tell you what is right to do. So they had the lower council, which were Brahmanas, very erudite Brahmanas who knew the Vedas and all the different types of scriptures. So the Brahmanas or the Ehaya dynasty were the Bhargavas. Bhargava, again, means descendant of Brigu Muni. Brigu is the son of Brahma. At the time of Richika, great-grandfather of Parasurama, the Ehaya touched the rock bottom of their wealth, and they found funds lacking even for the day-to-day administration of the state. So the Ehaya king became very poor. In despair, they went and requested Ichikas to lend them some money, but they hid their money and refused to give them anything. The Kshatriya kings got angry and killed the Brahmanas. What stock was left of them went to the base of the Himalaya. So the Bhargava became almost exterminated. The few left, they went to the Himalaya to find shelter. The wife of Richika was pregnant, then kept a child in her womb for 12 years, afraid to bring forth the child because she was afraid that the Ehayas would kill him. But after that, the child came out, breaking open the thigh, Uru. And so the child was called Aurva. Even at the time of his birth, Aurva shone like a brilliant torch, and not only that. The child cried aloud and said, "Oh, wicked Kshatriyas, I will kill every one of you. I heard from my mother's womb the din of the sword that you raised to kill my ancestors. I will never wait for another moment to wreak vengeance on you." So Ahurva, as soon as he took birth, he cursed the Kshatriyas, "I will kill you all." The fire that emanated from the face of Ahurva burnt even Devaloka. Kshatriyas as a class came and prostrated before him. The Devas came and requested him to abandon his anger, and Ahurva agreed. The Devas picked up the fire spark from Ahurva's face and deposited them in the ocean. From those sparks put in the ocean was born Davadagni or Bhavadagni, alias Ahurva. This we are going to find, well, the day that maybe we're going to study the full Mahabharata, we are going to find this ocean fire. And it is an important story about this ocean. Anyway, this fire came from Ahurva's wrath. From Ahurva was born Jamadagni. From Jamadagni was born Parasurama. In the race, the Ehaya was born at the time of a very valorous king called Kartavirya Arjuna. Once Kartavirya Arjuna gave a dinner to Agni Bhagavan. Agni began to devour all the mountains, the forests, and the world. The burning was so indiscriminated that he burned the ashram of sage named Apava. You better not touch Apava. The sage cursed Kartavira Arjuna, saying that 1,000 hands of the latter would be cut off by Parasurama, born in the family of Bhargava. From that day onward, the latent feud in him against the Bhargava was roused into action. Kartavira Arjuna worshipped Agni. Agni burned the forest. The forest, the ashram of Apava was burned. So Apava said to Kartavira Arjuna, 1,000 arms, they are going to be cut by Parasurama. Entonces Kartavira Arjuna said, okay, then I'm going to kill them all again. Kartavira Arjuna was so powerful that he was always looking for somebody to challenge him. So powerful he was. He didn't know what to do with his power. Just like when a man is very powerful, he wants to exercise, he wants to do something with his power. Otherwise, he feels like a lion in a cage. And Varuna told him, you are going to find in Parasurama the person to challenge you. Kartavira Arjuna went for hunting in the forest and feeling exhausted, after some time went to the ashram of Jamadagni with his retinue. Jamadagni received them well, and with the help of the Kamadhenu is the wish-yielding cow named Sushila, Jamadagni gave a sumptuous feast to the king and his followers. When after the meals were over, they started to take leave of the sage, Chandragupta, a minister of Kartavira Arjuna, brought to the notice of the king the superior powers of the Kamadhenu Sushila. In other words, the minister, Chandragupta, said Kartavira Arjuna, this Brahmana is a cow that can give you anything you want. So the king said, no, I want this cow. And he said, Chandragupta, ask the sage to give it to me. Though the minister told Jamadagni about the royal desire, the sage refused to part with the cow. Then the minister, Kartavira Arjuna, was not present. Then the minister, with the help of other royal servants, took the cow by force. And the sage followed the cow weeping. So took the cow, the sage was weeping and weeping. And on the way, Chandragupta beat Jamadagni to death and brought the cow. So Chandragupta killed Jamadagni and brought the cow the presence of the king. The king was pleased. Then Jamadagni had a wife called Renuka. Renuka went in search of her husband, and her grief found him lying dead. Renuka then wept, beating her breast 21 times. Oh, my dear husband, boom, 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 21 times. And by that time, her son Parasurama came there, and he declared that he would travel around the world 21 times. One time, each time his mother beat her breast. And to kill and exterminate the Kshatriya from this world. Then the dead body of Jamadagni was placed in a pyre, and they were singing Vishnu Gita, and then the Deva appeared and brought Jamadagni back to life by invoking the art of Amrita Sanjivani. This is art of giving life to dead people, that it is very known to those who read the Mahabharata. There's a whole big story about Amrita Sanjivani. Then Parasurama said, I'm going to kill Kartavira Arjuna. And then he killed Kartavira Arjuna was undefeatable, was just very powerful. But still, Parasurama killed him, and many also, many others also And then, but the song, Surasena, that's called the song of Kartavira Arjuna, said, oh, your son killed my father. Now I'm going to kill his father. Then he went to the ashram of Jamadagni and killed him by chopping off his head. Parasurama returned from Mahendragiri at once and cremated the dead body of his father. Renuka, his mother, jumped in the funeral fire and abandoned her life. From that moment onward started Parasurama's fierce program of mass massacre of the Kshatriya. And this is how Parasurama's story began. I hope you enjoyed the story. Is there anything unclear about only about the story, because we leave questions after reading Bhagavatam verses? Is there any question about that? No. Okay.
I just want to know something.
Yes.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
I
just want to know that, can we find this story at your online, because it was hard to follow so many details going by so quickly. I was wondering if I look for it on isvara.org, will I find it?
Yes, the file that I was reading is a summary that I organized today for you. It is called Parasurama, short story of the main event of his life. This is the title. There are many files about Parasurama, but you have to be subscribed to read it. Otherwise, you are not going to read it. And although I send free of charge a code to all of you, maybe one or two of you know, nobody is subscribed, but you did, so you're going to find this file, and you can read it. This and other files will tell you even more about Parasurama. I'm very worried that they even free of charge things you don't care. You know, it's there. It takes maybe 20 seconds for subscription. Please do it. It's right now in our library we have a little more than 7,000 files. Not all of them are already put in the right area, but at least almost 1,000 you cannot read it. 1,000 documents at the present moment, unless you are subscribed, you cannot access the file. Okay, so Parasurama, short story of the main event of his life. This is where I read from while telling you the story. Okay, then let's start 1.3.29 of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Guru Maharaj, permiso.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, receive my humble obeisances, please. Is a new subscription that I need to make, or because I have been subscribed for over a year? So is this another subscription?
I sent you an email, a WhatsApp notice to all of you. I mean, to those devotees who I know that either they're giving donation, like you are giving a monthly donation, and Bhakti Rosaline is giving a monthly donation, or they did some outstanding service, like Bhatta Andy, who took quite some time to correct the Mahabharata, so I felt obliged. Not that he did it for any reason, he did it out of devotion, but I also felt by devotion and gratitude that it should have free access. And so I sent you an email with a code.
Okay, that was that email.
So those who are already subscribed, they have to repeat the subscription.
I understand.
You have to repeat a subscription, you put the code that you enter, and for 1 year, you have access to all 5 of Area 1, which is public, you don't need any subscription to see many files, and Area 2, you need subscription, otherwise you will not. And Area 3 is just mine, is the area that I use for writing my books, where I write my notes, and all these notes will become books eventually. So I don't want people to read what is not completed yet. Okay, so when you click on area 1, just read it. You click on area 2 document. If you are subscribed, you read it. Area 3, you can't. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
And it took us 6 months to prepare this. It seems very easy, you know, area 1, area 2. It took 6 months. There's a lot of work behind. And the reason why we have only, quote unquote, only 7,000 documents is because in the past, our website was not prepared. And I thought that maybe we would never be. So I didn't upload many documents because it's not, I couldn't use it. So now I can use it. And Cassandra is also sent a link. And yes, the story of Parasurama is freely available for everyone on the internet, and in the Veda base you can read it all.
Yeah, this one is a morning walk. Prabhupada mentioned Parasurama, and he was talking about it, how it kind of relates to a conversation. So I didn't get it. I can't read all of it, but if anyone's curious.
There are a lot of stories about Parasurama freely on the internet. And yes, you should read them, not necessarily my website, but then you don't help me. If you subscribe, you help me. If you don't subscribe, you can read it. Yeah, but many things I say is not anywhere. If you are interested in what I say, then you should subscribe, because this class will be, all my classes in the near future will be accessible only to those who are subscribed. So live, you can come and see, but the next day you need subscription, otherwise you cannot listen it again. This is my plan for my preaching, and I hope that people will become more involved, and especially for those who doesn't cost anything. How much time it takes to subscribe? 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Okay, so 1329. Janma guhyam bhagavato ya etat prayato naraha sayam pratagrinam bhaktya dukkha grama vimuchyate. Whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord with devotion in the morning and the evening gets relief from all miseries of life. A very beautiful verse. We should take it, put it on memory, So, you say it's so blessed, such a blessing to hear these stories, that although somebody may think that they are just material stories, they are not. They are transcendental in nature. So listening to them, it's very important from our life. So much so that one gets relief from all miseries of life. So I think Cassandra, please read the verse number 30.
Yes. The conception of the Virat universal form of the Lord as appearing in the material world is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent and neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord's having form, but if actually the Lord has no material form.
Yes, the Virata Rupa is the form that we hear in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna shows his Virata Rupa, his universal form. So this form doesn't exist. The Lord only shows it when he wants to impress people and telling them, look, I am the origin and everything of everything there is. So he manifests the Virata Rupa. But this is material. It shows the material world. but Krishna is not material form. So, and he shows it just to adjust, so that the neophytes get adjusted to the idea of the Lord have forms. But factually, the Lord has no material form. Please, number 31.
Clouds and dust are carried by the air, but less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and the air is dirty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conceptions on the spirit self.
Yes. So when there are clouds, we say, oh, the sun is covered by the clouds. But of course, there is no cloud big enough to cover the sun. We are covered by the cloud and not the sun. So they say, and also the air is never polluted. It's just that inside the air there is some pollution that we put. So material body conception of the spirit soul is never contaminated by the material energy. Is that we put our material conception over, not inside, but over the spirit soul. We have explained in the last weeks, I don't remember what video conference, I'm getting confused now, that the term upadi. Upadi means something above, something around, not inside. So we think that we are this material body. This conception covers the spirit soul, but the spirit soul never thinks to be a material body. So from the outside, one can see himself as a material body, but removing the upadi, then the spirit soul becomes free. And again, he remembers to be a spirit soul. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, number 32.
Beyond this gross conception of form is another subtle conception of form, which is without formal shape and is unseen, unheard, and unmanifest. The living being has his form beyond this subtlety, otherwise he could not have repeated births.
Yes. This is also another very nice verse. So we have in the creation the material universe, okay? And this, we know something about that. Beyond that, there is another shape or another energy which is impersonal, which is made of energy. And this energy comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this energy cannot be seen. Just like we know that we are spirit soul, but we don't see spirit. We cannot see it. We cannot hear it. And it's unmanifested. We cannot see a spiritual light or a spiritual rays. So it is unseen, unheard, and unmanifested. Living being is made of this energy, and this is personal. So there is the material world, there is the impersonal energy, and then there is the personal element that is ours. So we have both the person and the energy. And the energy is secondary to the person. Because here, Sutta Goswami makes a very nice point, very scientific, very intelligent. Otherwise, he could not have repeated the birth. If a spirit soul was not a person, what takes birth again? If we were only light or part of a light, what part of a light would take birth again? What's the reason of a little piece, a little ray of the infinite living, you say, the spiritual light energy of the Brahmajyoti takes birth again? For what reason? There is no reason. So the proof that we are person is that we take birth again. We take birth in this material world because only a person can take birth. So this is a very nice explanation. It should be used in our preaching against the Mayavadis or the impersonalists. Number 33.
Whenever a person experiences by self-realization that both the gross and the subtle bodies have nothing to do with the pure self, at that time he sees himself as well as a Lord.
Yes. So are we Krishna? Is this what this verse is saying? Brahma Darshanam. That we see ourselves as the Brahma, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Are we Krishna? We never become Krishna. Never, ever. But we see our nature similar to Krishna. Krishna is spiritual, we are spiritual. Krishna is a person, we are persons. So we see similarities. When we become purified, then we can see similarities between us and the Supreme Person. But to achieve this avidya yatmani krite iti tat brahma darshanam, very beautiful, very sounds very nice, this verse. That when somebody becomes purified by the gross, this body, and subtle, intelligence, mind, contamination of thinking, I am this material body, I am man, woman, black, white, rich, poor, etc., etc. And then we become free from this misconception, then we can see ourselves as similar to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Iti, tad brahmadarshanam. Iti, this desinence is very important in Vedic literature, and you will find it in the Mahabharata, in the Rig Veda, you find iti very, very often. Iti means then, at this time. So it marks a difference between a previous statement and the other statement. So when you become free, then iti tat brahma darshanam, you see yourself similar to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So 34, I invite everyone to raise their virtual hand if you have any specific question, but you remain with the hand raised. I'm not going to answer now because I want to read a certain number of Bhagavatam verses first. But it's important for me to know how many questions there are so that I can calculate how much time we're going to read and how much time I need to answer your always nice questions. Okay, 34.
If the illusory energy subsides and the living entity becomes fully enriched with knowledge by the grace of the Lord, then he becomes at once enlightened and with self-realization thus becomes situated in his glory.
It is so beautiful. It's like we live with the darkness for life after life after life. And then one day we come out and we see the sun and we see the grass and we see the flowers and then we see beautiful people and we feel enlightened, we feel glorious, we feel so nice, so good. This is spiritual realization. Spiritual realization means going from misery to glory. And so this mahimni sve mahiyate, mahimni means mahimni, means my greatness. I'm not a being of the darkness. I'm not a rat. I'm not an insect living in a dark, in some miserable place. I come out and I live in a very beautiful place. So I'm great, I'm beautiful, I am glorious, I'm intelligent, and now I understand things that before I thought that life was just eating, sleeping, mating, defending, but now I can see that there is much more in life, that there are happiness that before I didn't know that existed, some tastes that I didn't know that existed. So this verse, it tells the transition from ignorance to pure knowledge. And one becomes situated in his own glory. Okay, verse 35.
Thus learned men describe the births and activities of the unborn and inactive, which are undescribable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart.
Okay, so at this point, when somebody comes out to light, then what does he do? He knows that God exists. Let me use this word because we use God. There's a supreme personality. And someone, it's not difficult to establish it that a supreme person must exist. And the main reason that it cannot not exist, it's just unreasonable, it is illogical to suppose that there is no a person, a supreme person behind the creation. There is no, if you refuse and you reject the idea of a supreme person, you just cannot explain anything. And your science becomes the words of religion, of fideistic religion, where you accept that there is no God just for faith, because you don't have an explanation to why God does not exist. Many times in my preaching career, this is the first time I use this word, my preaching life, okay, I met hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people, say, prove me that God exists. So when you are young, you are full of halava, a lot of passion in your blood, that you start to, because you and that. Now that we don't need so much halava, and we are old and more peaceful, there are many answers to this question, but there is one way that I use now, which is beautiful in my opinion. I always say, no, you prove me that there is no God. Prove it to me. Okay? But no, you had to prove me that there is no God, because for me it's so obvious that I exist because I have a mother and father. Prove me that you took birth without a mother and father, because it's so logical that I have an origin in something or someone that is similar to me, you know, but there is no logic behind I come from nothing. This house, I don't need to prove you that someone did it, because there is no other explanation that someone did it. Prove me that your house came from a little bang. They have this stupid theory of Big Bang. A house, then it's a little bang. So prove me that your house came from a little bang. I can prove you that this house, someone built it. It's not difficult. Okay, there is no one thing in creation that didn't have an origin, didn't have a source. Nothing. There's no one thing. But you want to tell me that this universe is so complicated, so perfect, so mathematically arranged, because I know exactly when the sun will come up tomorrow. I know. In mathematics, it's not casual. Someone say the universe came from casuality. There is nothing casual in this universe. Everything is mathematically preordinated. So you had to prove me that there is no God, that there is no person. I don't have to prove you, because it's already what we are the proof. So this is a very beautiful. All verses are beautiful, but this verse, this number 1335, gives you a very nice picture, a very beautiful picture. The learned man describes the birth and activities of the unborn and inactive. I will tell you what unborn and inactive means. Unborn is clear, inactive is maybe a little less clear. And because when they come to light, and they say, wow, there's a new, I didn't know that this world existed. And they come in this Shangri-La type of city or place, and immediately they started to glorify the Supreme Personality of God. Even if they don't know him, even great poets who do not know anything about Krishna and the Vedas and Bhagavatam, they wrote so many beautiful poems about, if not God, about creation. What poet didn't describe sunset or sunrise or a flower or a forest? What is this? This is glorification of Krishna, because Krishna did them. Rainbow, they're beautiful. I remember one time I was in Puerto Rico and there was a huge rainbow coming toward me. So I was afraid maybe there is some electricity, I don't know, but I said, no, I want to be crossed by a rainbow, at least one time in my life. So I was a little afraid, actually. I called this huge rainbow coming toward me, so I let it cross me. Nothing happened, I'm still alive. But it was very beautiful to see all these colors, all these things coming towards you. Now, this is so beautiful and poetic, and this is life. If you can appreciate God's creation, this is the Virata Rupa. This is the Lord's material creation. This is Krishna's glorification, because he did them. So unborn means that we are born because of karma. He takes birth not for karma, he comes. There is a difference between coming and falling down. Coming, you come. Falling down, you fall down. So that's why Krishna is called the Ajanasya. Akartur means, and Ajanasya means not born. Akartu means inactive. What it means inactive, that Krishna doesn't do anything. Of course, he does a lot of things. But it doesn't, first of all, it doesn't do anything material. And second, it's not obliged to do anything because of karma or because of the laws of nature, just like we are. We are obliged to do so many things, and sometimes we are obliged to eat and sleep and drink, or we are obliged to do things because we need some pleasure, happiness, but he is not forced to do anything. What he does, he wants to do. That's why Krishna is called Akarta, means inactive, materially inactive. Okay, let's answer Bhaktin. We have two questions. So then we are going to take these two questions and let's see if we continue or not reading Bhagavatam verses. Bhakti Rosario.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I want to go back to last week when I was asking you to help me understand the thing with the soul of the insects. And I thought about something that I learned from one of your books about Krishna having a dog in the spiritual world. So I'm wondering what about the jiva of that dog? Will that dog be always a dog, or is that dog, how is it that if there is a cycle of reincarnations from animal to human, how is it that that dog is still a dog? And please explain a little bit so I can understand. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, let's perfect your phrase. It is not that the dogs have soul. The dog is a soul that has a dog body. When you use the verb to have, that implies that you are something, you have something else. If you use the verb to be, you are the thing, and then you have something else. So the dog in the material world is never a dog. He has a dog body, just like you can drive one, I don't know, a small car, or I can drive a big car, but I never become small or big depending from the car I drive, because there is a difference. I have a car. I am this person. Okay? So the soul, due to the level or the type or the quality of his consciousness, is forced to take a certain type of body. Okay? So he has a body so that he can enjoy and suffer whatever there is to enjoy and suffer in this particular material body. Okay? So in the spiritual world, it's different. In the spiritual world, there is no difference between jiva and body. It's the same thing. Okay? One has a spiritual body, that is the jiva. Because this jiva in the material world is like a little spark. It's a spark. Right now we are sparks. The more we advance in spiritual life, the more the spark becomes to take a form, just like a seed. A tree, a seed of a tree. At the beginning, it's just a seed. You don't see anything. You don't even know what type of a tree that is inside. But if you continue putting water, sunshine, and the right land, etc., you see that slowly but slowly something will come out from the seed. So in our material life, we are a seed at this beginning to take a form, very gradually, and we start to not only to see something in our form, but also to feel something. At the beginning, we feel just spiritual because we are a spiritual seed. But then slowly but slowly, it can be fast. It's not necessarily slow, you know. Then you may feel, starting to feel to be a gopi, or a guru, or Narada Muni, or a preacher, or this and that. You start feeling, thinking, willing like a spirit soul. Okay? When this seed fully fructifies, it becomes a tree, then your material body, there is no more. You are a spirit body with all your characteristics, etc. In the spiritual world, you have your fully developed spiritual body. So why a dog is a dog in the spiritual world, a gopi? It's not better to be a gopi and not a dog, etc., etc. Well, you don't, it's like going to a fish and tell a fish, look, being a man is better. You know, why don't you be a better? But a fish tells you, no, I am enjoying being a fish. And you can ask him, why you feel that being a, because I am a fish. Why you want to tell me that your position is better than mine? It's like telling Mata Yashoda, look, you know, a gopi is better than being Krishna's mother. Mata Yashoda will tell you, no, it's not better, because I am fully satisfied of being Krishna's mother. And so a dog in the spiritual world is a dog because he wants to be, he likes this position. And any form in the spiritual world is completely perfect. I know that you have the next question, that is, if a dog wants to become a gopi, he can become a gopi. Yes, he can become a gopi. Of course, he can. It's not that eternally somebody is obliged to be someone he doesn't want to be, but it's very difficult that the fish wants to be something else because he's a fish. Okay, but a fish cannot become a man, but a dog can become a god in the spiritual world. Okay, so it's just that we have to understand how it works in the spiritual world, the meaning of the word svarupa. Svarupa. Svarupa means what you are. Sva means internal, su. Sva comes from su. Su means your own, what you are. So how it is possible that you are something, you want to be something else? But again, at the cost of bore you, if you want to be something else, why not? Krishna is full of dogs. If one dog wants to be someone else, of course he will let him do. But again, it's very difficult that someone from, wants to be someone else since he is what it is. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I think Cassandra.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So with text 34, when it says, well, we just read it. So my question is that, so with like the Mayavadi, they would just stop at like they would just become liberated, but they wouldn't, when it says become situated in his glory, so they would be liberated, they would see the beauty, basically God's beauty, but they wouldn't have the conception of that this is coming from Krishna, this is coming from a personal God. They would just have the idea that that this is all energy. I don't know if my question makes any sense to you. I guess what I'm trying, because the reason I'm asking this is because I had a personal experience where I felt very like, this was like a couple years ago. It was like during a really bad time in my life. I was hearing basically a man online, and he was having an interview, and this man you can tell he's very enlightened. And he was basically talking about, you're not the mind, you're not your thoughts. And that was the first time I've ever heard anything spiritual like that. And immediately I had a reaction to it. Immediately I felt like, my internal state, everything kind of changed. Like all of a sudden I was able to look outside the window and I could like really see the sky for the first time. Or like when I ate a yam, a sweet potato, I was really tasting it. I felt like I was tasting it for the first time. Or when I was walking on the carpet, I could feel the carpet underneath my feet, and I never felt that before. So I was starting to have these weird experiences, and I could just feel almost as everything was alive around me, like so vibrant. But there was no connection, there was no knowledge there was nothing, and it lasted for 6 months, and then it went away. It didn't stay. So I guess what I was wondering is, with the Mayavadis, the people who have this impersonal, personal perspective of God. So when they become to that point of becoming a liberated soul, how are they seeing the world in that way? Does that make sense?
Yes, of course, makes a lot of sense. So first of all, I never enter into personal internal experience. Just like this last week, 2 weeks ago, right, that I came to give a conference in the preaching center here in San Antonio, and he was telling me his personal experience with the deities, etc. And he asked me what I thought about that. And there is nothing I can think about, because I'm not in your heart, I'm not in your mind, I'm not present. It can be anything, and it can be just speculation, or maybe you're dreaming, or maybe you're trying to cheat me, or maybe you actually had some experience, and so I cannot say anything specific. However, it is a fact that we, in our life, we go through several types of experiences. And we can categorize these experiences. And but the categorization of these internal experiences can be done after you are advanced in spiritual life. Just like I had many experiences, you know, when I was a kid, I could not explain, or I explained them in a certain way, but now they am grown up, etc. I understood what type of experiences I had. So it doesn't need a transcendental knowledge or a transcendental thing to have a turn in your life. Something, because people ask them all the time, can be anything, can be karma, can be just necessity. You go in a place, you like it, and your life changes. Okay, so there is really no need for you to understand why or what you experience at that time, but it is a matter of fact that we have a very vivid internal life. All of us, we are devotees because we have some internal life. Someone who doesn't have any life, who all he wants to do is enjoy this body, using it. This body doesn't come to our video conferences because for them it's a waste of time. Hearing words doesn't mean anything to them. Surely you had experiences that change your life. But because these experiences, as you said, these experiences are no base and not a fundament, after some time they go. Because these experiences are in the realm of material emotions. The material emotions come and go, just like anything in your life, something that you like it now, in the future you will not like it anymore. We change. Why? Because this is the nature of matter. Matter means today I like it and tomorrow I don't like it anymore. This is the typical characteristic of something material. So you had that experience, it was material, it lasted for 6 months, and then it went away like everything else in your life. However, if we want to try to understand the mind of a Mayavadi, that is a little easier because a Mayavadi means I don't want God. Mayavada philosophy is a perfection of atheism. Atheism means not, even in Sanskrit, you know, even in Greek and in the classical languages, the desinence a, it is used to say no. Theos, that's a Greek. Theos is called means God, not God. Atheists are those who refuse the idea of accepting God. But the consequence of not accepting God means the material world. Material world means misery. So a Mayavadi is someone who say, I don't want material life because it's miserable, but I don't want God either. So Krishna, being so merciful, he creates a third area, a third world, when somebody can have this relief from material misery and from the idea or the necessity of accepting the existence of a God. So Mayavadi means nothing. There is nothing. There is no houses, there is no street, there is no God, there is no happiness, there is no pain. So what a Mayavadi feels in the spiritual world, Mayavadi feels the absence of pain. Absence of pain is not happiness, but it's absence of pain. But he's satisfied with that. And after some time, he will come down in the material world again. It's just something that he cannot avoid. It is unavoidable that he comes down. Why? Because of his own nature, Svarupa. the way he is internally, is a spirit soul, he needs to act. The spiritual world, the Brahma Jyoti, there is no action, there is nothing going on there. It's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's a place where there is nothing going on. There is nobody there. You don't see anybody. You don't see anything. You don't see cities. You don't see people. You see light. And since there is only light, there is nothing paining you. Okay? There's nothing paining you. You are there enjoying the absence of pain. But after some time, I got to do something. Oh God, this is nice, you know, but I had to do something because the being active is a nature of the soul, and since there is no action, because you don't have a body, if you don't have a body, how do you act? Then you come in the material world again, you start the whole thing again, because only in the spiritual world there is an eternal situation where there is no pain and there is happiness and there is action. Everything you need is only in the spiritual world. So this is the best description of Brahma Jyoti that I can give. You know, Brahma Jyoti is eternal, but because you find this in all the Upanishads, Brahma Jyoti is eternal. So Mayavadi say, okay, we are eternally in the Brahma Jyoti. No, the Brahma Jyoti is eternal. You are eternal, but you cannot stay eternal in the Brahma Jyoti. Because it's simply unnatural. So you must come down, you must fall down again in the material world. I think that more or less right now is the best description I can give. Okay, Bhakti Rosalind.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All the glory for Srila Prabhupada. I'm a little bit confused about manifest and unmanifest activities. I was reading about them also in the Brahma Samhita, and I think there was mention of Goloka and Gokula, which also confuses me. I think one is the spiritual world and the other is the physical world. And I'm not sure if the activities are manifest in one and unmanifest in the other, or what does this mean, manifest and unmanifest activity?
Manifested activity means activity that we can see, no? With this material eyes. Just like when Krishna came in this material world, although he was transcendental, and the place where he did these pastimes were in the material world, and his devotees were also in the material world, but we could see them. We couldn't give them the right value. In other words, the people who watch his pastime didn't know that they were transcendental, but they could see them. These are called manifested pastimes. The unmanifested pastimes are the pastimes that we need transcendental eyes to see them. We cannot see them with these material eyes. And to see them, we need to, to give up basically, not necessarily, we don't have to kill ourselves, but we need to develop our transcendental personality, and then we will be able to see them. There was another part to your question, but I forgot. That was all? Because
I didn't understand about Goloka and Gokula. Yes.
Okay. So Goloka Vrindavana is the Krishna's abode in the spiritual world. Gokula Vrindavana is the place of Krishna in the material world. That is called Gokula Vrindavana. Are they different? They are not. It's just a question of one is in the spiritual world and the other one is in this material world. They are both transcendental. He projects his Goloka Vrindavana here because Krishna doesn't come in the material world. So he brings his place in the material world in the material world, so he can do the pastime, and we can see them. We can see Gokula Vrindavana pastime, but we cannot see the Goloka Vrindavana pastimes. So why Krishna wanted us to see his pastime? That's obvious, because he loves us. And he knows that the only way we can get purified is by watching, thinking, describing, repeating his transcendental pastimes. So he came and he did them. Now we have something to talk about. Otherwise, what you're going to say about the Brahmajyoti? How many minutes we can describe a Brahmajyoti? But how many hours, days, weeks, years it takes us to tell the Mahabharata or the Ramayana or the Puranas or the four Vedas or all the Upanishads, all the Bhagavad, all this. It's not enough one life.
Or even what to say about what is an unmanifest activity. I mean, how can you describe the unmanifest?
Yes, Krishna can, yes, correct. That's why Krishna manifests his activities because he's very merciful. And Krishna, our culture is so vast. I mean, there's so many incarnations, and everyone has a big story. You know, I tell you, I told you the story of Parasurama, okay? But this is just a drop, I can tell you. You can talk about Parasurama for weeks. So many past. You find Parasurama in the Ramayana. You find Parasurama in the Mahabharata. You find Parasurama in so many Puranas and stories of all kinds. You know, just one incarnation. And so, how many incarnations Krishna has? Who knows how many incarnations Krishna has? Tell me a number. If you don't tell me a number, we're not going to proceed.
They're unlimited,
As
Infinite-
many as the
infinite.
waves of the ocean.
Martin Rosario is a pandit, great erudite. As many waves there are in the ocean. How many waves the ocean has, you cannot count them. It's infinite. No beginning and no end, because this is what eternity is. Eternity means no beginning, no end. So how many incarnations Krishna has? There is no beginning, there is no end. They always come out anew. We know Parasurama, but maybe we have billions, trillions of something similar to Parasurama in some other planet, in some other dimension, who knows what. So we must be very proud to be part of this such a beautiful and deep, any good adjective you can invent, culture.
Thank you
Okay.
for your excellent explanation.
Thank you. Bhakta Andy, Daddy is taking care of his son.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hari Bol.
I have to try and ask my question as quick as I can. I had a question regarding tapasya, or austerities. Is it like exactly like how you were mentioning, like, you know, father like me, the daddy, the father? Is it that like me actively trying to be like a good father or like good husband? In a sense, it almost feels like an austerity. And is it like, it's not that like it almost feels like an austerity. So I've also heard that like the equivalent for us of like the yogis, like meditating in the Himalayas is just doing japa. Like even right here, like doing japa here in front of the altar can be seen as like the equivalent of like a yogi meditating in the Himalayas. It's like the same for us. So I guess my question is it, does it make sense for me to view my life and things like going to work and, you know, taking care of Oliver, you know, changing his diaper, whatever the case, is it okay for me to see that as like an austerity and it's like something that's actually helping me grow spiritually? Because right now I feel like I'm just seeing how mundane I have, like the vision that I have is just very mundane. And so are these spiritual activities? Are these austerities, or is that not quite right? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense. Makes sense, and I think this is a very important actually question, because we had to understand that not just philosophy, but how to live it, how to live this philosophy. Because obviously when we preach about philosophy, we think that the only way to live a Krishna consciousness is to go in a temple and give everything up, give the family, and becomes a brahmachari or a sannyasi or something like that, but it's not. And I will say something about this point. There is one word in our culture which is very important, which it is very difficult to translate because it doesn't mean anything specific, but it's a philosophical concept. And this word is dharma. Okay, dharma. Dharma comes from the Sanskrit root, verbal root. The root of Sanskrit words, they are all verbal. They come from verb. Which means to sustain. Okay, now we have at the moment we have a certain nature. We take birth with a nature, and this nature may be not mature for a complete spiritual life. The ideal spiritual life is just to go to Vrindavan and put a loincloth, put one piece of clothes and going and walking on the Yamuna and reciting verses, and then come back, take some prasada, chanting 64 rounds. This is the ideal spiritual life. We don't want even know anything about the material life. We don't want to know about money. We don't want to know about houses. We don't want to know anything, zero. We just want to know about Krishna's name, Krishna pastimes. So this is it. But what about if you are not ready to do this? What will sustain our advancement in spiritual life? What is our dharma? Our dharma is how you say in English? Determined by our present state of consciousness. Because if you do or try to do something that is really not your time to do, you may even fall down from spiritual life. So you need to do what you have to do. This is dharma. So who is going to determine your dharma? This is the guru. This is the position of the spiritual master. The spiritual master has to tell you what you have to do now. Maybe 1 year will change. So who is going to tell you when it's going to change or what you have to do or something different? You cannot decide by yourself. No? Someone else can decide that this is the position of the spiritual master. So what it means austerity? Austerity is part of dharma, tapasya. You had to do tapasya, austerity. Why? Because you become strong. You become strong by doing things that you don't like. If your guru tells you you have to be a dad, you have to be a dad. But I don't like it, you have to be a dad because the guru tells you so. This is tapasya. Tapasya is something that you are told, not that you decide, because you obviously will decide what you like. You like to get married because you liked. After some time, as Srila Prabhupada said, at the beginning is nectar, at the end is poison. I'm not referring to your situation, I'm sure that is still nectar, but as a matter of idea, principle, Srila Prabhupada said that. At the beginning, everything is beautiful, my wife is beautiful, my husband loves me so much, etc., etc. But with time, this is going to finish. I tell you, it's going to finish, okay? And after some time, the body is always the same, the voice is always the same, the mind is always, you get bored about the same thing. But then, if you are a devotee, you are not supposed to enjoy what you don't need to enjoy for your spiritual life. Yes, you have to enjoy something because you cannot just be miserable the whole of your life. But there is a point where enjoyment becomes detrimental to your spiritual life. So the spiritual master tells you, don't give up your family. You're not ready. And also, how do you, one say, no, I want to renounce my family. You don't want to renounce a family. You want to renounce the responsibilities of your family. You want to renounce the work that you had to do to maintain a family. So your, when I say your, doesn't mean you, your impersonal. Your dharma is now to be, to maintain your duty as a family man, and so up to your son is grown up, and to get your children becomes grown up and they have a job, they can maintain themselves, etc., etc. Your wife is mature, it doesn't need anymore to be told I love you every 5 minutes and all kinds of things, and then everything and everyone is ready for renunciation when maybe you are 70 or 75. Until 25, one should be a brahmachari. Until 50, one should be a grihastha. Until 75, one should be a vanaprastha. 75, one should take sannyas. This is the Vedic system. So austerity means what is right to your maturity, to achieve maturity, and giving up your duties. This is not mature. This is actually very childish, and although you can disguise your refusing responsibility as a sense of renunciation, actually you are not renouncing. You are trying to enjoying to avoid the family responsibility. The ones is taken must be maintained, like in ISKCON, in our movement. Now, nobody can take sannyas unless the wife signs, physically. At the beginning, this was not the case. At the beginning, we were just a bunch of kids. The danda is beautiful, the danda. And then half of them, they are fallen down after a couple of years, etc. But now, rightly so, we require that the wife agrees. If he has a wife, it agrees, because taking sannyasa means the wife has to take some kind of sannyasa also, and you have not the right to decide for her. Both has to decide, and I think this is very right that in our movement we do so. So one is to plan his life as a devotee in a very mature way, so that we can advance in spiritual life. And I can say that being a grihastha is very helpful to the spiritual life. If someone can avoid this by getting married and all the trouble, etc., it's better. But if he has too much desire for self-gratification, sex being number one, etc., he should get married, because better to enjoy in a grihastha life than enjoying as a sannyasi. You get, once you're a sannyasi, you can enjoy anything. You are just a servant of the society. So to conclude your very nice and important question, there is no one answer for all the cases. Okay, every case should be analyzed and decided upon, and that's why one need a guru. Without the spiritual master, you don't know what is right and what is wrong. Spiritual master has to decide what you do, but in general, family life should not be given up, because you are taking a responsibility, and you have to maintain your responsibility as a father, as a mother, or in the future as a son. Your sons also, when he grows up, he will have some responsibility. It's not that being maintained for 25 years and then Haribol, I go for my grief. Well, what about his mommy and daddy need something? He has to provide after being provided for 25 years. So this is our culture, and I think it's a very, very nice culture. Well, we are going to get back to this point. It's not concluded. I have many other things to say about, but you know.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. This is Dhananjay Das here.
Dhananjaya Prabhu, Haribol, Haribol.
Haribol, Haribol. So you brought a very nice point, actually. Very wonderful, which is, I found that in ISKCON, there is always a Grihastha ashram is very nice, but at certain point, we have to go ahead in a life, and that is not much discussed. It's only written in Puranas, and most of the, because of the truth and the conditioning and so many factors are involved. So it's one. I think there was another Prabhupada disciple. I forget his name. He was. I forget his name, but he took sannyas from His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So I asked him, "What about my going to the next order?" So he said, "Unless your daughters are married and the son becomes independent, you can't really go to the next order." So then it becomes really hard because we don't know when they will marry and when. So we just have to pull on for a long time. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think that we can define a renunciant, someone who renounces to duties, dharma. You gave, a body to your daughter. Before losing her dad, she has to be married, and the son is to be married also, or at least get a job, serious job. And until then, why one should take a sannyas? There was one debate I participated of a sannyas who gave up his wife after 2 years. I gave up sannyas, he married somebody else. So he was there, and somebody told me, "You didn't renounce to women, you renounced to dead women, because you got tired of that women." This happened too many times. No, we had to take our responsibility up to the end. Unless, of course, there are extraordinary cases, but there are very, very few cases. And to conclude at this point, it's, austerity makes you strong. And if one thinks that giving up duties makes you strong, I don't think you are understanding what austerity means. The austerity of someone can be family life. That's a big austerity, just like Bhatta Andy was telling, being a father, I can see with my own son. He loved to travel and go to the Himalaya. He visited India so many times, and now he got a daughter. He never complains, just because he's very particular character. etc. But sometimes he says, you know, I was traveling on the Himalaya and now I'm cleaning my daughter's, you know, my daughter thing. And but you know, you did that, and now you had to take your responsibility. And sometimes this may mean the whole life. So next life, be careful what you do. What are your choices? And next life, if you don't want to get entangled for 30 or 40 years, this is how much time it takes to finish the family business, 30 or 40 years of your life. Just don't get married and go from brahmacharya to sannyasa. Okay. Shashidhar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So you have explained the concept of Mayavadis, right? But in one book I have read, like Mayavada was introduced by Shankaracharya in order to drive away with the Buddhist philosophy. So is that the same? What's Buddhism system of philosophy is different, or how is it like?
Yes. To compare Buddhism to Mayavada or Advaitavada is like comparing European philosophy to Indian philosophy. What does it mean? You know, how many philosophies there are in Europe? There is no European philosophy. Just like there is no European philosophy, there is no Mayavada philosophy. Mayavada is a term who refers to a singularity inside a certain philosophy, or a characteristic of a particular philosophy. So if we go to the mainstream of Mayavada or Advaita, what's the difference between Mayavada and Advaitavada? There is a difference. It's not the same thing. Although Srila Prabhupada sometimes he refers to Mayavada and Advaitavada as being the same, just for the sake of simplicity. Because our philosophy, again, is so vast that sometimes you have to simplify it to make things simple, or people get confused. So Mayavada means nothing exists. Maya. Ma means not. Ya means this. Just like neti, na iti, na means not. Iti is the same thing. Maya or neti means the same thing. This does not exist. This does not exist. Does not. This is Mayavada. So Mayavadi are those who refuse the differentiation, not the existence. Mayavadi do not refuse or do not reject the existence, but differentiation. They say that everything existence actually is made of one singular energy, which is the Brahman. Be careful, Brahma and Brahman are two different things. Brahma is masculine, Brahman is neuter. So masculine refers to a person, Brahman means to something, neuter means something. So Mayavada philosophy means there is no differentiation in the creation. Okay, Advaitavada means something very similar, but not exactly the same, because A means not, Dva means two. Okay, the Advaitavadi, they say that there is no difference between you and me, okay, but this you and me exists temporarily. While the Mayavadi say there is no existence at the present moment either. This is the difference between Advaitavadi and Mayavadi. But of course, if you study this, the philosophies, you see many other differentiation between the two, but this is the basic idea. And what is the difference between Advaitavada and Advaitavada and Buddhism or Bauddha philosophy, Bauddhavada? Bauddha means Buddhist philosophy. Well, we have several Buddhas who says several things, different things. But the Buddhism we know is that it's not even religion, because Buddha never spoke about God. He never said that God does not exist. So he was not an atheist. His philosophy was not atheistic, but he never spoke about God because there was no need to talk about God. So Buddha Vada says that nothing exists. Nothing, zero. What is the difference between zero is one, Advaitavadi and Mayavadi? They say that there is one thing, Brahman, the spiritual energy. Buddhists say there is no spiritual energy, nothing is existing. Okay? Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachaline Nirvishesha Shunyavada. Nirvishesha. Vishesha means specificity, and nir is another negation. Okay, nirvishesha, that's Mayavadi or Advaitavadi. Nirvishesha is another type of a word referring or indicated is Tativa. And Shunyavada, Shunya Sanskrit means zero, void. So the Srila Prabhupada came in this material world to defeat Nirvishesha and Shunyavada, means Buddhism. Buddhism means zero, there is no existence. And if you go deep in these philosophies, you see that there is a lot of difference. They start very close, 1, 0, and then they go astray, one. It becomes a very particular, peculiar philosophies. I spent quite some time of my life trying to understand what they say, and it's very different from our philosophy. It's like saying, atheism and Buddha philosophy is and Mayavada philosophies are very dangerous. Because an atheist is very easy to defeat. They have to prove that there is no God, which is impossible, But they go very deeply, they go very subtle. And they say, no, God exists not as a person, you are God. And the Buddhists say, no, there is no God, but you are not also existing. So they are more difficult to defeat because you have to go very much into logic. It's not impossible, of course, to defeat them, but it can be done. Sripad Shankaracharya appeared in the 1st century after the beginning of Gregorian calendar, the Jesus Christ appearance in this world. We use the Gregorian calendar, and he appeared more or less about 700 years after Jesus Christ. But if we say that he was the first Mayavadi, he preached Mayavada philosophy, there would be a mistake. There were Mayavadis long before Shankaracharya. But Shankaracharya was so powerful that for hundreds of years, the people would embrace such an idea until a great Vaishnava Acharya appeared and defeated this philosophy, not hundreds, maybe a couple hundred years. And this great Acharya was called Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya was one of the greatest philosophers of our time. A few hundred years, about 1100, another great Acharya appeared, which is Madhvacharya. And both Ramanuja and Madhva defeated Shankaracharya's philosophy. So I think this is the question I have for you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, Maharaj.
And who is leaving? Somebody left. He's saying Hare Krishna, excuse me, I had to leave. Okay. Yeah, probably it's Rosario. Well, we are almost at the end of this class. If there is one or two questions, we can answer them, or maybe one, and then we finish. Otherwise, I will, if there is no question, I will tell something about our preaching program, but I already spoke about. I don't think I need to say anything again. I urge everyone to visit our website, which is this one. Don't miss. At the present moment, there are only 7,018 articles. They will raise, become 100,000, more than 100,000. You can find anything there. And subscribe. And yeah, basically that's it. Okay, no more questions? Okay, so I invite everybody who speaks Spanish. Tomorrow I'm going to have my class in Italian. We have an Italian devotee present here. It's very late at night, and for him to be here at this time is very heroic. I thank him so much. I like so much to see him present. And I had to answer your email. I will tomorrow. And then Saturday we are going to have our conference in Spanish. Now we are having 3 video conferences every week. Thursday English, Friday Italian, and Saturday in Spanish. Okay? Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Hari Bol Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Hari Bol Maharaj.